I may have hit the wrong button. I hope it picks it up fast enough, but it might break this. It might break this up into 2 streams. Also, if it cut off the beginning there, I hit the wrong button, and I stopped streaming accidentally. I did not mean to do that. So this might be broken up into 2 streams. Who knows? We'll see. Apologies for that. I was eventually going to hit the wrong button, wasn't I? Let's go through some alien data. We've got artifacts, scan data, and terminal data. I assume that the terminal data is what we collected from data terminals. So let's read through some of this. Also, the reason I'm reading through a lot of this is because it gives context to Subnautica Below Zero as well, where I think some of this is referenced. So, and again, I have not read through a bunch of this either, so it's interesting for me as well to see what comes back in Below Zero and what is going to come back in 2. Alien Data Terminal. Discovered inside an alien facility, it was not possible to translate any useful information. However, scans have returned some information on the device itself. It is likely a solid-state computer, although there is no clear way to interface with it. On approach, it began producing a low-frequency radio wave, containing complex but recognizable data patterns. It is likely the alien species which designed this technology evolved, or genetically selected, sensory apparatus to hear and understand the information being broadcast by the device, and to communicate back. The mental processing power required to perform this kind of telepathy would imply the designers were considerably more psychologically developed than the common human. Assessment, further research required. Damage report. Leviathan detected at facility perimeter, closing at high speed. Exterior anchor cable impacted with massive force. Exterior anchor system buckling. Facility sinking. Collision with sea floor. Breaches detected in Containment Unit 7, Leviathan eggs. Immediate specimen destruction protocol initiated. 314 specimens destroyed. 1 specimen unaccounted for. Evacuating staff to off-site sanctuaries. Planetary quarantine protocol initiated. Warning, infected individuals may not leave the planet. I wonder if this is what released the illness, what is, I think, later dubbed the coronavirus, into the world, or whether it was already there and this was part of the research to maybe get rid of it. Enforcement platform schematic. This dataset appears to be a multidimensional schematic of some kind. By mapping the pattern to 3-dimensional space, it is possible to gather a basic understanding of the facility's internal workings. Construction material. The facility's unknown construction material is identified as an ultra-hard, non-reactive metal amalgam, synthesized from off-world materials. There is no indication that it can be damaged or destroyed by available means. Power. The schematic indicates the facility was to be powered by a separate, self-sustaining power plant, located elsewhere on the planet. The location is not listed, but there is evidence that designers intended to harness the planet's natural thermal energy. Layout. The facility consists of upper engineering section, where this schematic was found, and the control room, which is accessed via a security-sealed elevator shaft or a separate underwater moon pool. Control. The control room in the lower section houses the only known way to interface with the facility. However, the schematic does not detail the operation procedure or installed security measures. Enzyme 42 project data. According to translated data logs, an indigenous Leviathan species was found to produce a unique substance referred to as Enzyme 42, which inhibited the symptoms of the Kara bacterial infection in other indigenous organisms. The specimen was captured and contained in a purpose-built habitat for further study. The alien researchers went to great lengths to provide for the life form's environmental needs, including the import of interdependent flora and fauna via an on-site warp gate. However, its health quickly deteriorated. When quarantine was imposed, all warp gates and force fields were sealed. All attempts to develop the enzyme into a vaccine had been unsuccessful. Fauna reproductive data. Extensive alien research data on the local fauna with a special focus on their reproductive method. Core conclusions have been synthesized. The aliens discovered the life forms on the planet have just one sex. They observed local organisms engaging in asexual reproduction. All healthy individuals tested were capable of egg-laying. Eggs usually required genetic material from another of the species. In rare case, only one parent was required, with evolutionary mutation introduced by the effect of the environment itself. Research appears to have focused around hatching conditions and genetic variations between parent and child. Fossil data. Fossil data recorded from volcanic rock that was excavated to construct the alien power facility. It has been possible to extrapolate a number of key trends. Genetic divergence. The aliens recorded data on indigenous organic remains originating between 10,000 and 1,000 years ago. The life forms on record feature an unusually low overlap with those encountered so far on 4546b. Extinction event. Soil samples from 1,000 years ago contain 300% higher concentrations of organic remains than the soil average. Data supports a mass extinction event, killing off a majority of species and forcing rapid adaptation among many of the survivors. That might have been, in fact, the introduction of the coronavirus, I would think, because that would also probably cause a mass extinction. Ion power data. It has been possible to extract useful information regarding alien power, ion power. Ion cubes are grown artificially from a mineral substance and are treated to remain in a stable state despite the huge ionic energy contained within. By installing an ion cube in an appropriate device, this energy can be released as electrical power. Using this knowledge, it has been possible to synthesize new battery and power cell blueprints which leverage advanced ionic energy to last considerably longer. Kara contagion profile. This terminal contains extensive data regarding the bacterial contagion identified as Kara. Discovery. First encountered during routine network expansion on outer worlds. Pandemic development. Network error resulted in routine quarantine procedure failure. Contagion was uploaded to and spread quickly through the core worlds. Confirmed deaths 143 billion individuals. Bacterial mechanisms. Attaches to healthy living cells and mutates the basic genetic structure. Symptoms. Stage 1. Gradual immune system failure. Stage 2. Green skin lesions and flu-like symptoms. Stage 3. Unpredictable alterations to biological structure. Stage 4. Complete shutdown of executive function. Emergency steps taken. Core worlds quarantined. Bacterial samples distributed to isolate disease research facilities for vaccine development. Treatment procedure unknown. That's a great picture. Sea Emperor Leviathan research data. Specimen size categories have been adjusted upward to accommodate this species. Feeding and digestion. Alien research data indicates that despite its size, this species feeds entirely on microorganisms it filters from the water, which themselves depend on a complicated ecosystem of plant and animal life. That is why we found so many things in the containment unit where we found the Sea Emperor Leviathan. and they were all passive. Reproduction. Large, ovary-like organs are carried in the creature's middle section, suggesting that, like other species on this planet, it produces eggs. However, internal scar tissue indicates probable infertility. Enzyme 42. The Emperor manufactures enzyme 42 within its stomach cavity to break down its food, and will occasionally expel it into the surrounding waters. This substance was found to neutralize the effects of the bacterium, and its presence in the ecosystem today would explain how life on the planet survived the outbreak. It would remain to be explained by what mechanism the enzyme is being delivered. That's the peepers that we see going through the facility, like going in and out of the facility. 4. Health. Comparative analysis of size and metabolic rates indicates the specimen captured by the researchers was approximately 1600 years old. Extensive internal and external scar tissue suggests it had lived well in excess of peak lifespan for its species. Assessment. While a healthy sea emperor specimen may have held some potential as a cure, it is unlikely any research subject survived quarantine procedures. Specimen research data. A catalogue of information on the organisms previously contained within the alien facility. A number of entries have been translated. Small herbivore gamma. This entry seems to reference the common peeper. Shows no immunity to infection. Death commonly occurs within 4 days. Shows symptom remission on exposure to enzyme 42, but symptoms quickly recur. Shows advanced learning behaviors. Shows some capacity to transmit enzymes to other specimens. Leviathan embryos. Adult specimen too large to study in containment. Egg specimens acquired from nesting site. Embryos show no sign of immunity. Death commonly occurs within 3 weeks. Small sample of eggs has been retained for continued high-priority research on Leviathan hatching mechanisms. Large carnivore theta. Off-site lab established to study remains. Shows some potential for immunity to infection, but physical remains so far proved insufficient for full reconstruction. Unidentified Leviathan. This Leviathan species has been assigned to designator Sea Emperor. Bone samples from the Emperor specimens indicate some potential for Kara immunity. Single specimen captured for study and purpose-built containment facility constructed in volcanic region at depth 1.4 kilometers. Assessment. While it is unlikely that the Emperor specimen still contained within the facility described, it may be possible to acquire further data on the aliens' attempt to develop a vaccine. Well, we know that the Emperor survived. Or not anymore. It died after the babies hatched. But up until that point, it was still alive. Ventilation control. Water flowing to and from the primary containment facility is being automatically controlled, independently of other safeguards. Data on the water composition has been recorded. Inflow. Water is being drawn from different biomes around the surface of the planet. The water temperature is considerably lower than the volcanic environment outside the facility, while microorganisms and nutrient counts are substantially higher. Outflow. Oxygen-deprived water is being flooded from the system and recycled back to the surface. Scan data. So this is all the stuff we scanned. Actually, I think there was some scan data in this one as well, but it will mostly be in here. Alien arch. This structure's intended purpose is unclear. Theories on function, ceremonial or religious use, industrial applications, advanced transportation network. Assessment. Further research required. We now know that these are teleporters. Alien flora research. Local plants being held in stasis. The aliens evidently sought an extensive knowledge of the planet's ecosystem, which would have been necessary to support any live specimen research. Alien robot. This device is of alien origin, although its design is relatively simple. Purpose. Its low threat level is at odds with the advanced technology apparently available to its designers, suggesting it was intended more to patrol alien facilities and repair damaged infrastructure than to deter invaders. We did find that it did not really attack us as well. It was just wandering around. Design. Despite its simple design, this construction is quite elegant in its minimalism. 4 electromagnetic legs allow it to traverse floors, walls, and ceilings with reasonable speed, and appear to be replaceable. Internally, there are few moving parts, rendering this construct energy efficient and resistant to wear over time. A rechargeable, iron-based power reserve ensures it continues to operate. Assessment. Immobilize and return to Alterra for mutual profit. Can we do that? I don't think I've ever tried. I also wonder where they recharge, because the ion cubes are, like, remade as soon as you drill the whole thing. So maybe maybe it's like a Roomba. Maybe it has a charging station somewhere. Oh, we need to drink something again. We need to drink something all the time. Do I have water?
Vital signs stabilizing.
Let's eat something as well. Alien thermal plant. This system is directly converting local thermal energy into electric current at 90% efficiency. Most of this energy is being stored in the battery-like devices within the plant itself, each of which holds enough to power a small city for a year. Some of it, however, is being drained off, presumably as it is distributed to other facilities on the planet. The power plant appears to be fully automated and, given current understanding of the mechanism involved, uninterruptible. Alien vent. These vents connect to an ancient piping network that extends beyond maximum scannable depth. The pumping system is still functional. The inflow vent is drawing water from the surrounding area and pumping it to an unknown location below the surface. Again, I think we scanned this one after we had been in the facility where it ends up, but this game didn't know that. Normally you wouldn't. Warm, deoxygenated water is being expelled into the atmosphere. Atmosphere? I would say in the surrounding water, but atmosphere. Most creatures are avoiding the vent. Peepers can be observed entering and exiting the pipe network without signs of distress. Assessment. Further research required. Blue tablet. Smooth and cold, with a blue light which illuminates an alien symbol resembling an uppercase H. While it is likely these devices served in part as security clearance for whoever constructed them, their signs suggest some additional purpose, such as personal computers. Whatever the case, the technology is far beyond humanity's own. Damaged anchor cable. These thick cables were designed to anchor the nearby facility to the surrounding cave walls. Damage to some of the cabling has resulted in the facility collapsing to the floor. Calculations suggest such damage would require an external percussive force in excess of 300 tons. Energy core. This device houses energy equivalent to a 100 megaton nuclear detonation, which can be channeled through the facility and directed at vessels overhead, or bent around the planet's gravitational pull to strike targets in orbit. Power is routed via the attached terminal, allowing for the device to be deactivated if necessary. It is currently operating without parameters, suggesting it will target any ship within range. Force field control terminal. This device matches no known technologies and is likely alien in nature. Power is being routed via the terminal to the nearby force field. The technology is far beyond anything encountered before by the Federation. Nonetheless, there is a good chance it functions like a regular lock and only requires the correct kind of key. Ion cube. This green mineral substance has no entry on the periodic table and an unprecedented ability to store huge amounts of ionic energy within. Likely grown artificially. Cubic appearance suggests it has been cut from a larger deposit. Each cube contains the equivalent ionic energy of 5 kilotons of TNT. Under the right conditions, the energy could be released in a controlled manner. Likely used as batteries, but would require a substantial power source to be charged. Assessment: valuable energy source. Orange tablet. I'm not sure how these are structured because the blue tablet you will come across much later than the orange and purple one. The purple one is the first one you will come across. And it's not in alphabetical order either. Orange tablet. This device hums slightly and displays an orange-lit symbol resembling an N. It may offer a way to interact with compatible technologies. Purple tablet. This carbon-based device is lighter than it looks and features a symbol which resembles a U, lit up in purple. Despite the onboard power still functioning, algae growth on the exterior indicates it was abandoned hundreds, perhaps thousands of years ago. While the technology is far beyond Federation levels, and there is no obvious way to interface with it, it should nonetheless be possible to fabricate a precise physical copy of the device, if necessary. Research equipment. A large laboratory table and accompanying scanners incorporate technologies far beyond our current level of understanding. Hypotheses: equipment maintenance, staff maintenance, specimen analysis, specimen gene manipulation. Self-warping quarantine enforcer unit. I'm very curious about this one, because it did seem like the warpers might be... were they called warpers? Might have been either made by the aliens or something similar. Like, they didn't seem entirely... yeah, natural. Self-warming quarantine enforcer unit. This life form shows signs of heavy genetic modification and extensive mechanical grafting. Its digestive and pulmonary systems have been replaced by an onboard battery, receiving energy directly from the main grid and distributing it around the body. Miniaturized phase technology has been implanted beneath the skin and is triggered by the central nervous system, allowing the construct to teleport at will. The brain and central nervous system have been digitally augmented with advanced processing power and remote communication. Assessment: programmable hunter/killer. Avoid. So yes, it does seem like these are what the radio transmission was talking about when... we'll probably get to that at some point. There was a radio transmission which talked about something that was trying to kill all the crew on board the Aurora. Although it is curious that they only exist in very specific parts of the world and that they don't just travel around everywhere. They don't go to the shallows. Warper parts. The organic parts on display contain DNA from dozens of different organisms, largely originating off-world. They are in varying states of augmentation with advanced technologies. This production line setup suggests these self-warping constructs were built, maintained, and deployed by the aliens that designed this facility. Artifacts. How are we doing for time? Oh, I can actually see that in the timer now. Also, I am going to finish the game, which would require me to build the rocket. I think that's the only thing left to do, so I will do that. I'll not do that this stream, I'll do that in a later one. I'm also not sure if I'm actually going to read through all of these today, but we'll see. Ooh, translation device. Oh, these were the artifacts that we scanned in one of the last facilities that you get to. This device stores linguistic data from over 1,000 different languages. The core of the device may allow alien texts to be read and translated. Analysis of the onboard data reveals a number of ancient Earth languages, and the term CHBC Live appears many times in the device's data. Its import is unclear. The device its import, like importance, I suppose. It's unclear. The device seems to be configured to translate into the designer's language. It will not work the other way around. How unfortunate. Tracking implant. This construct is emitting a high bandwidth signal consistent with alien transmission intercepted elsewhere. DNA on the exterior indicates it was once implanted inside one of the life forms indigenous to 4546b. Its size suggests the subject was a Leviathan-class organism. Beyond tracking and broadcasting its location, the implant may also have recorded biological data on the subject. However, this data cannot be retrieved. Rudimentary tablet. This device shares many similarities with the tablets used to access the alien facilities, although its structure is rather less complex. It may have served a similar purpose, granting security access and storing relevant data, and was thus kept here as a form of legacy support. Organic matter particulator. That's a great word. This device contains a highly unstable radioactive isotope, likely to destroy all organisms exposed to it, while leaving physical structures intact. Although it would function perfectly well as a weapon, it was more likely used to sterilize spaces for later inhabitation. Without instructions, it would be unwise to interact with it. Holographic projector. This device contains network apparatus and a holographic projection unit. It was likely used as a communications relay, capturing and projecting the image of the user to a remote location. There do not appear to be any other devices in range. Doomsday device. Scans indicate this device contains enough potential energy to destroy the entire planet, along with most of the solar system. Fortunately, it has malfunctioned. Let's hope it never unmalfunctions. Ancient Earth Blade. An ancient Earth blade dating back to the 13th century. Blood samples on the blade match the DNA of 7 separate heads of state from the period. This evidence supports the theory that the aliens are an ancient, space-borne civilization engaged in the surreptitious study of less developed species. Aliens have visited us. They were here as early as the 13th century, this proves it. Alien statue. This artifact is unpowered, suggesting it served a ceremonial rather than practical purpose. The pyramid resembles vines, spiraling upwards towards the warm blue stone mounted above it. It may represent a plant found on the aliens' home world, a building of religious import, or even the gravitational pull of their home solar system. Alien rival. Strong resemblance to a human weaponry in form, this device must have been designed with a humanoid user in mind. Whether the aliens that built this structure were themselves humanoid or otherwise employed the use of humanoids is unclear. What is clear is that they considered defending this facility a necessary precaution. There is no obvious way to remove the rival from the case. We are not allowed guns. Knives only. Alien carving. This carving is hundreds of thousands of years old and made from an unrecognized natural fiber grown on an unknown planet. It bears striking resemblance to the old Earth yin-yang symbol. Two competing theories may explain the similarity. Aliens visited Earth prior to the 4th century BC and influenced the development of ancient Chinese philosophy. That's possible. The concept of yin and yang is universal, since yin and yang describes the fundamental interdependency of seemingly opposite forces. It may be a necessary existential understanding in some form in all sufficiently developed civilizations. The tapering of two circles, union, into opposed and infinitesimally small point, the finite, is one logical way to represent this understanding, and may have been developed independently by species other than humans. Also, we know the aliens have visited us in the 13th century. Yin-Yang was around by that point. It might also be that they took it from us instead of the other way around. Maybe they liked the idea. Alien building block. This rock-like object features organic as well as mechanical parts, and there is some genetic and technological crossover with the design of the self-warping constructs encountered elsewhere. It appears to serve no purpose in its current state and is awaiting some kind of activation sequence. Materials such as this may have been fundamental building blocks of the alien technology, or even of the aliens themselves. I've had all the alien data. Blueprints. I'm not sure I'm going to read through all the blueprints. I don't think there's much interesting stuff in here.
Seek fluid intake.
We'll see. We'll see how I feel after I've gone through the advanced theories, which are going to be more interesting. The blueprint ones probably just tell you what the thing is and what you can use it for, and how to use it, like...
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
The Moonpool one said where it needed to be installed and stuff like that.
Vital signs stabilizing.
Let's stay in here, look at the fish outside. As we read through advanced theories. Alien eggs. Evidence suggests that a substantial number, if not all, of the local species reproduce through egg laying. Eggs can be found resting on the sea floor, buried beneath detritus, or even wedged into cracks in the rock. Different species likely favor different biomes as their nesting grounds. Eggs discovered in the wild are in some form of natural stasis, likely awaiting ideal conditions in which to hatch, or the delivery of some vital enzyme which will kickstart the process. It is impossible to calculate the species of the egg from the exterior. However, it may be possible to simulate a hatching response if an egg is relocated to a suitable alien containment unit. That is how you can find out what animals are inside the eggs you find around all over the place. Enzyme host Peeper. A Peeper specimen was observed. Let's see if I can scroll all the way down. I can. A Peeper specimen was observed emitting a faint fluorescent enzyme trail and engaging in unusual behavior patterns. Peeper is actively approaching other creatures, including predators. The specimen is host to a bacterial infection. However, the infection is currently dormant. Peeper's stomach cavity contains an unknown enzyme of foreign origin. Chemical analysis of enzyme bears some superficial similarity to the stomach enzymes of larger predators. Contact with the enzyme appears to inhibit the symptoms of the bacterial infection. Complex structure renders synthesis impossible. Assessment: recommend further research into enzyme origin. Enzyme host Peepers leaving the containment facility. This is the pipes. The outflow pipes are filled with peepers traveling back towards the surface. Specimens show no symptoms of infection. All specimens scanned are carrying enzyme 42, which data suggests inhibits the bacterium. Specimen stomach cavities are otherwise empty, suggesting they may have purged the contents before entering the pipes. Assessment: if peepers have evolved to distribute the enzyme via the pipe network, this may explain part of the mechanism by which life on 4546b has survived since the bacterial outbreak. Which suggests again that the bacterial outbreak was 1,000 years ago. Hatching enzymes. The Emperor specimen's eggs are attached to some form of incubator. In a normal life cycle, it seems likely that sea emperors would have buried their eggs in shallower waters, where different organic materials in the soil would have triggered a hatching response. The incubator suggests the aliens had resorted to developing artificial hatching enzymes, which would simulate the egg's natural hatching environment, but were unable to discover the formula. With extensive information on the sea emperors themselves, it may still be possible to fabricate an artificial hatching enzyme using indigenous ingredients. However, the only surviving source of that information may be the sea emperor itself. Peepers entering the containment facility. The pipes drawing water into the containment facility are filled with peepers arriving from the surface. The fish show no signs of distress. The specimens scanned all have consumed high quantities of seeds and organic matter from the surface. Some specimens are beginning to show signs of infection. So it seems like the peepers possibly also provide nutrients to the sea emperor area if they come in with full stomach, mostly seeds and organic matter, so the seeds might actually reproduce, make new plants. And then they dump all their stomach content once they're inside the sea emperor area, and then go back outside with the enzyme. Ray species on 4546b. Different species of ray indigenous to 4546b, each adapted to different environments. The specimens are 99.99% genetically identical to those encountered on the planet today, suggesting that rays in particular have undergone little evolutionary mutation in the past millennium. Ghost rays, jelly rays, crimson rays, and rabbit rays likely all share a common evolutionary ancestor. The alpha ray would have evolved deep in the ocean trenches, quickly growing in line with available food supplies. It would have most resembled the ghost ray in size and appearance, with translucent skin for camouflage and forward-mounted eyes for hunting. A fast and fearsome stalker of small creatures in the dark. While some rays have stayed within the limits of the cave system where they first evolved, others are relatively more recent adaptations to new environments, likely the result of overpopulation. All of the rays on 4546b have given up predation in favor of herbivorous scavenging and use poisonous flesh to protect themselves. Those were some rays that we scanned while we were in one of the research facilities. Sea dragon egg. This large egg is held in a hermetically sealed environment and has been chemically sterilized. Without the means at the facility to house a fully grown sea dragon specimen, it is possible the aliens sought to study instead the egg-laying and incubation process. To what end is unclear. Sea emperor egg casing. Shell composition. The shell casing is formed from thick layers of carbon composite, suggesting an extensive gestation period. This leviathan species may give birth just once per century, perhaps just once in their lifetime. Shell casing incisions. Precise incisions suggest a laser-based tool was used to cut open the egg casing and forcibly remove the fetus inside prior to full gestation. We have seen the embryo probably that came out of this as well. Analysis. Time pressure to develop a bacterial vaccine may have driven the alien researchers to cut open this egg and remove the fetus for study. It is also possible that, removed from its parent and natural habitat, some vital condition for the infant to hatch naturally was not met. Here's the Sea Emperor fetus. Sea Emperor fetus. Found preserved in a display case, it was likely a child of the adult specimen contained within the facility. Physiology. Superficial damage to the specimen indicates it was artificially removed from its egg casing. Stunted tissue development suggests the organism expired during the removal process. Tissue samples have been taken from the digestive tract. Analysis. It appears the aliens were attempting to formulate a cure for the bacterium from enzymes produced in the specimen's digestive system. With a young, healthy specimen, these efforts were in vain. specimen with symptoms of infection. This organism is displaying signs of a bacterial infection. Bright green blisters are forming networks around the infection sites. Some of these words are hard to read for some reason. Pathology suggests a waterborne bacterium capable of penetrating the body through skin and respiratory system. Underlying indications of genetic mutation and aggressive behavior. The bacterium itself is unlike any so far recorded in human exploration. Warning: may be contagious. Avoid. Do not, under any circumstance, consume the flesh. See Emperor's eggs. Eggs. 1. Shell. Uncommonly strong shell lining. Organic growth on the exterior suggests these eggs may be hundreds or thousands of years old. Alien tubes. Alien devices penetrate the outer shell layer, likely designed to supply them with nutrients and to isolate them from the surrounding environment. 3. Amniotic sac. Like many eggs on 4546b, these do not contain a nutrient supply which is slowly exhausted by the embryo. Instead, they exist in a form of natural stasis, awaiting appropriate hatching conditions. 4. Fetal organism. There is a high genetic match between these organisms and a leviathan in the vicinity. They appear to be stable and healthy. It is likely that ideal hatching conditions for the eggs vary considerably from ideal survival conditions for the parent. Like they vary from the ideal survival conditions for the parent. See Emperor's life cycle. Available biological data has been used to synthesize the effects of the alien bacterium on the sea emperor's natural life cycle. This creature likely lived and moved in small herds around the planet's ocean trenches, coming to the surface to feed off the huge volumes of microorganisms in the shallower waters. Family size would be strictly limited by available food supply. Offspring would likely split off at a young age to form their own herds elsewhere. Given their sparse population, mating and egg-laying was likely infrequent, perhaps once-in-a-lifetime event. The species likely had a preferred environment for egg-laying. In fact, successful hatching may depend on such conditions. Given the rarity of this event, it is impossible to calculate those conditions precisely. There is no evidence to support the assumption that all members of the species were immune from the alien bacterium. Even if this is so, there is evidence that introduction of the bacterium decimated life on the planet, and this would have catastrophic effect on the Emperor's food supply and survival rate. The symbiotic relationship between this specimen and other life forms likely developed as a direct result of the bacterial infection. Those life forms which learned to keep the Emperor alive survived with its help. This may explain a vast tract of lifeless ocean in a rough perimeter around the Emperor's location. And yeah, I am going to skip all the blueprint stuff because I can't be bothered to read all of them. Just seeing if there's anything that would be... I don't think there's any alien stuff in here anyway, like for the ion batteries or something like that. We already had some stuff about the ion batteries. So I think, because this is all voice log, so we will have heard this. Here's the some of the alien broadcasts. Here's the like the other agent stuff that I was talking about with the warper creatures, which appear to have been biologically composed of several things from different planets and then infused with alien technology to hunt us down specifically. But it hasn't done that yet. But I think we probably heard all of this. So for now, I am going to set up, pin the blueprint that I want to make next time. so that I remember what we were going to do, but I think we've had, like, pretty much all of the lore, except for the stuff you get at the end. And so next time we are going to look at the dive pod at the shallows, because I'm not sure if we've been there. And we are going to... Actually, let me also fetch the... Let me fetch the prawn suit already, so we don't forget to put that on board next time.
Welcome aboard, Captain.
Welcome aboard, Captain. All systems online.
Can I reach the power cells? I don't think I can. I can't take out the power cells of this thing. But yes, next time we are going to go back to the shallows and we are going to start construction on the Neptune platform, and hopefully of the entire Neptune. I don't think that's going to be a very long stream, but maybe we will do some bookshop simulator after that to finish it out. I'm not sure when that will be. Maybe tomorrow if I'm feeling up for it, and if I have time. I'll see. But for now, thank you for watching, and see you next time.